Hey, good to have you with us. When I start hearing numbers, and I want to quote this from an IOL article, when there was stage 4 load shedding, those 3 days, it cost the economy at least 12 billion rand. These are staggering numbers. It's difficult to actually comprehend that kind of money, isn't it?
Thank you for having me. Yes, that's quite correct. There are some estimates that say it costs between 5 and 6 billion rand per day for every day we don't have power. And what you say is quite correct. For me, it's incredibly worrying that small business, which is targeted to be the engine of growth and job creation, is probably the most hard hit because for those that can afford it, they have to have generators, run them at a staggering cost. The cost of diesel, petrol, as we know, is not cheap. And in economics, we refer to the opportunity cost. So the money that a small business is investing in running a generator for some 4 hours a day could actually have been invested in expanding the business, growing jobs, etc. So it's a huge concern for small business. Incidentally, I was at a large retailer on Friday, and even though large retailers do have generators, these kick in after some time when the power goes down. And as I stood in this massive store in Sandton when the power went down, for some 60 seconds, you're in absolute darkness. And I thought about the impact of theft that retailers, big retailers, must also having to contend with the issues of the power crisis. So it's
almost
small
extra security you're having to
yes, absolutely. So it's small business being badly hit, but then big business being able to afford generators, running them at high cost, but then also running the cost of theft in the time when the generator kicks in, because there's absolute darkness and you can fill yourself with whatever's nearby.
And if you're fairly rapid on your feet, you could probably
get out of the shop. That's
quickly.
Exactly what I thought.
So now when we are post the Ramaphoria, as so many people were calling it, it seems Eskom has triggered the switch on Ramaphoria. We're now hearing forecasts of growth of below 1% for 2019. This off the back of all the speculation that just to keep our economy going, even if the lights were on, we may have to lend money from the World Bank. Is it almost inevitable now?
Well, unless they come with another sort of a solution, so bring in the private sector. We need decisive leadership to basically solve this problem. Bring in the private sector, private-public partnerships. As they said, they wanted to break Eskom down into different units and maybe turn it around, improve, remove the costs that have been put in there that are, just draining money from the entity. So unless another solution is not thought of and cannot be viable, yes, more money will have to be lent, which is definitely not good. Ratings agencies don't like that.
What are the rating agencies thinking about us right now?
So I understand that Moody's is the agency that's going to speak to us again sometime next week. And I don't think this is going to fare very well on the cards that Moody's looks at. Because first of all, as you quite rightly mentioned, economic growth is going to slow down because of the load shedding. As I mentioned, small business, large business, tourism, healthcare, mining, manufacturing, all taking a knock. So this will affect economic growth. So the ratings agencies obviously look at the economic growth and the ability of the country to pay back its debt. And if it's not growing and it's borrowing, then how does it pay back its debt? So we might get a situation where we get move from a stable outlook to a negative outlook before we finally get downgraded, which is definitely not good news.
So it's almost as though we're going to have to apply for a new credit card to pay off our current credit card just to keep our economy going. Never mind sorting out Eskom. That's just to keep the country from going even further into debt.
So unless we come with decisive leadership and solutions to solve these problems and we act quickly, we've still been waiting for Eskom to give us ideas and finality on when this is going to be fixed. Some people say 5 years, some people, as I heard before this, 6 months. We don't actually know when this will be fixed. We know the extent of the problem. We need solutions on how to fix this. And this needs to happen quite quickly in order to appease the ratings agencies to say, look, we have an idea, we know what we're going to do, we have a plan in mind, and I haven't yet seen that.
And I'm sure many South Africans would be asking the same question. What is the plan? The plan seems to be in the dark, if you'll excuse me using the what is now becoming a bit of a cliche. As far as doomsday scenarios go, we're talking about, in the load shedding perspective, we're talking about stage 5, stage 6. Are we in stage 5 or stage 6 with the country's economy? Are we out of control? Is the grid about to collapse economically?
Look, according to some energy experts, we're already in stage 5. I know today we got some reprieve. We had no load shedding. So according to some energy experts, we're already beyond stage 4. I mean, a lot of places have had planned as well as unplanned load shedding. Businesses are in the dark for 4 hours of the day, so half of the day. I don't believe that it will be allowed to go to the stage where we have a national shutdown or a national grid blackout. I personally don't believe we will get there. But again, the leadership needs to come along and needs to work with the private sector and restructure.
What about the economy? Is it going to be an economic grid collapse? My final question.
Well, if the power supply gets sorted out, at least for the medium to long term, then no. I would also imagine that businesses are preparing and investing in more generators as far as they can at a cost to them just to keep their businesses running. So that would mean the businesses would be less profitable, and this would affect their ability to create jobs, sometimes to pay salaries and things like that. So I think businesses are working this in and trying to become less dependent on the grid, but it's at a cost to the economy and job creation as a whole.
I really appreciate you coming in. Free advice, very good advice as well this evening, speaking to us. Economist Yumna Ibrahim joining us to discuss how it's going to affect the economy. The numbers are not looking good. The elections, as we've just been hearing from Faith in her interview, that looks like the elections will still go ahead despite some power issues.